You are watching Blessing Today Legacy Talks.
Welcome to Blessing Today Legacy Talks. I'm Pastor Jacob Nainen, pastoring the Trinity Highland Tabernacle Church in Kochi. Last episode we saw how we handle disappointments from those who are above us, as well as handling disappointments with those whom we have helped. And today we are going to focus on handling disappointments for those who are with us. The people who hurt us the most are the ones who are with us day in, day out. And again, continuing through the life of David, we'll look at this. But I also would like to give us a back sketch of the whole story as it's enumerated in 1 Samuel chapter 22. David is fleeing for his life from King Saul, and as he's fleeing for his life, his family also joins him in the cave of Adullam. And there in the cave of Adullam, 400 people who are in debt, who are in distress, and who are discontented come and join him. David did not have a title, David did not have a crown, David did not live in a palace, but he was living in a cave. How would these men found out that by joining up with David, they knew one thing: he was a giant killer. If they joined with him, they also in turn could become giant killers. Probably. At the same time, David was also in a place where he was extremely down. But at the same time, he accepted them to be his loyal followers. If we were to think of it in modern day church terminology, we could call it as a D-cube church. People who are in distress, people who are in debt, people who are discontented. But David became a leader to them and he shepherded them well. In 1 Samuel chapter 30, we read of an episode where these mighty men were, all of them, they come with David to the place called Ziklag where they had their camp. And once they come to Ziklag, they found that everything that they had been taken by the Amalekites, and the whole place was burned down. And this was something devastating to all of them. All of them were soldiers, all of them were warriors, but at the same time, David was in deep throes of distress. And the men also were in distress. They started crying, and at the same time, the men told of stoning David. Now David also lost two of his wives, and he also lost everything. But in the midst of that, the people in their distress, they said, let's stone him. And this is one of the challenges that we need to face as leaders, that the people who are with us, whom we have been with them in and through, at times disappoint us like this. How do we rise up as a leader? Let's look through the life of King David. The Bible says that David strengthened himself in the Lord. How do we strengthen ourselves in the middle of such kind of a situation? Number one, a backward look. David had a backward look at the ways that the Lord led him and guided him. As we read Psalms 103, we realize that David always recounted the blessings of God in the past always. It's always a time to look back whenever we go through pressures in life as to how God has helped us faithfully and how He has maintained us till that next moment. And also in the belief that God will help us in the future also. So it's always a backward look that helps us. Secondly, an upward look to God. David inquired of the Lord. One of the things that most of the leaders, they don't do at this point is that instead of looking up to God, they go around sharing their problems with people. Let me tell you, people cannot help us all the way, but only God can help us. David inquires of the Lord, and the Lord gives him this command: go and overtake them, and you shall recover everything. Trusting in God in these kinds of times is the way a leader is molded, because the entire people who are following us will always look to see how the leader responds in these times. David looked up to the Lord, and having heard from the Lord, then there is a forward look, a backward look at the faithfulness of God, an upward look to God as to how to move on in life, and then a forward look. And this is where many leaders, they don't move on. Sometimes they stay stuck there to their old ways, and they think that they are doing well, but at the same time it might not be so. David went after them, and he and all his men, they recovered everything, even more than what they had lost, they recovered from the Amalekites. David came back, and every one of them got a portion of what David had. But at the same time, one of the greatest lessons that we can learn is that when people whom we are around, when they disappoint us, we don't need to be disappointed. we can trust in God and believe that God will still give us the mandate to still continue to lead, because God is in control of our lives and nothing can happen without God's knowledge. So, in conclusion, as a leader, remember one thing, that there will be people who will disappoint us, people those who are above us, people those whom we have helped, and people those who are with us. But at the same time, trust in God, leave the past behind, don't carry any bitterness, don't carry any offenses. Live a pure and a holy life. Let God bless you with these words.
Join us next week for a new episode of Blessing Today Legacy Talks. Subscribe to Damian Anthony YouTube channel right now